Most people think money is just numbers, budgets, income, and expenses. But money is far more psychological than mathematical. You don't rise to the level of your income. You rise or fall to the level of your money mindset. If you give two people the same salary, same opportunities, same economic environment, they still end up in completely different worlds. Because one of them wins the mental game, and the other is trapped by the beliefs they never question. Money psychology is the invisible engine behind everything you do financially. It controls your habits, your fears, your impulses, and your long-term results without asking for permission. Some people save because they feel safe when they see numbers grow. Others spend because they feel alive when numbers disappear. Two people can walk into the same store. One sees value, the other sees a dopamine hit. Some avoid looking at their bank account because they fear judgment from their own money. Others check it every day because they want to feel in control. Money doesn't change you. It amplifies you. If you're insecure, you'll use money to prove something. If you're disciplined, you'll use money to build something. If you fear losing money, you'll sabotage every opportunity. If you trust yourself, you'll multiply every opportunity. You can tell a lot about someone by how they talk about money. Scarcity voices say, "I'll never afford that." Abundant voices say, "How can I afford that?" Poor mindsets ask for comfort. Rich mindsets ask for possibilities. The psychology of money is simple. You are either controlled by it, or you learn to control yourself around it. Your childhood shaped your financial identity long before you opened your first bank account. How your parents talked about money became the script you live without noticing. If you grew up hearing, "Money is hard to make," you chase crumbs. If you grew up hearing money is a tool, you build empires. Money trauma exists. Growing up broke teaches you that money disappears fast, so you grab every moment of pleasure now. Growing up comfortable teaches you that money stays, so you plan for later. This is why some people hoard money like survival depends on it, and others burn money like they're trying to erase their past. You're not bad with money. You're carrying a financial identity that was installed before you ever chose one. But here's the truth wealthy people know. You can rewrite that identity the moment you decide to. Wealth begins with awareness, not income. Once you understand your impulses, you stop being manipulated by them. Once you understand your money beliefs, you stop repeating them. If you want to build wealth, don't start with the bank account. Start with the psychology behind the person managing it. Ask yourself the uncomfortable questions. Why do I spend when I'm stressed? Why do I fear investing? Why do I chase quick wins instead of long-term growth? Every financial pattern you have is protecting or sabotaging you. Your job is to figure out which one. Money rewards clarity. It punishes confusion. When you know what you value, money becomes a tool. When you don't, money becomes a trap. The moment you learn emotional control, your financial life changes. The moment you stop reacting to money and start directing it, you become dangerous. Because wealth isn't built by the smartest people. It's built by the most emotionally disciplined. When you master your mind, your money follows. When you master your habits, your wealth compounds. Money psychology explained in one sentence. Fix the person, and the finances fix themselves. Most people chase money like it's running away from them. But wealthy people know money is not something you chase, it is something you attract by becoming the person who can hold it. Money is not loyal. It flows to whoever respects it, multiplies it, and treats it like a partner instead of a prize. The first step to becoming a wealth magnet is internal alignment. Your beliefs, habits, actions, and identity must point in the same direction. You can't desire wealth with your mouth, but reject it with your patterns. You can't dream of abundance while repeating behaviors built for survival. Wealth begins when you stop acting like the person you were, and start acting like the person you intend to become. The next step is behavioral identity. This is where your daily decisions quietly sculpt your financial future. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. Wealthy people don't rely on motivation. They rely on structure. They build habits that run even when discipline fades. One of the most powerful identity shifts is this. Rich people plan. Broke people hope. Hope is emotional. Planning is strategic. Hope waits for miracles. Planning creates direction. When you plan your money, you take control of your future. When you ignore your money, your future controls you. Another key identity shift is detachment. Wealthy individuals don't emotionally chase what they want, they move toward it with clarity. Detachment doesn't mean lack of desire, it means lack of desperation. Desperation repels opportunities. Confidence attracts them. When you don't need every opportunity, you start choosing better opportunities. When you choose better opportunities, your results multiply. To become the person wealth flows to, you must also master emotional stamina. Without emotional stamina, you'll break at the first financial storm. Every wealth journey has setbacks. Most people quit. The wealthy adapt. Adaptation is the skill the average person overlooks. It turns scarcity moments into strategic pivots. You become stronger than your excuses. You become smarter than your fears. This is also where discipline becomes identity. Not forced, not painful, automatic. Wealthy people rarely argue with themselves about what needs to be done. They simply do it. They don't negotiate with comfort. They don't wait for motivation. They treat discipline like brushing their teeth. Normal, expected, non-negotiable. That's why they win. Another critical part of becoming wealth-worthy is raising your standard. Not your goals, your standards. Goals are wishes. Standards are rules. A goal says, I want to save more. Familiarity is dangerous. It keeps you repeating the identity you're trying to escape. Your environment must match your ambition. If it doesn't, you'll shrink your ambition to match your environment. Choose conversations that elevate you. Choose relationships that challenge you. Choose influences that build you. Your circle is your financial mirror. You will eventually reflect whatever surrounds you. Another part of becoming wealth ready is understanding value creation. Wealth is never accidental. It's rewarded. It is repetitive, predictable, slow, and often unexciting. But boredom is where compounding begins. Poor mindsets chase excitement because excitement feels like progress. But excitement drains money faster than anything. The wealthy commit to boring habits that create extraordinary outcomes. Because consistency isn't sexy, but it's profitable. Here's another psychological truth. You must learn to make invisible progress. Most people quit because they can't see results immediately. But wealth grows in silence before it grows in visible numbers. Just like a seed grows roots before it grows leaves. Fix it, move forward. You cannot improve what you deny. You cannot grow while hiding. Honesty is the gateway to transformation, not perfection, honesty. Finally, you must build a wealth identity based on alignment, not appearance. Not a lifestyle you can show off, but a lifestyle you can sustain. Real wealth feels calm, not flashy. It feels stable, not chaotic. It's not the person with the loudest purchases who wins. It's the person with the quietest compounding. The moment you stop trying to look wealthy, you gain the capacity to become wealthy. At this stage, you stop chasing money because you are no longer the person who needs to chase. Money gravitates toward people who think clearly, act consistently, manage emotions, and invest with intention. This is the final truth of part 5. Wealth is not something you get. It is something you grow into. Once you upgrade the person, the money upgrades itself. Problems become data. Data becomes direction. Direction becomes opportunity. Where others panic, they analyze. Where others freeze, they adapt. This ability alone multiplies their success, not because they're smarter, but because they stay calm long enough to see solutions. The 9th difference is relationship with failure. Most people avoid failure because they fear embarrassment. But rich people know failure is simply tuition, the price you pay for progress. They treat every mistake as a feedback loop, not as identity, but as information. This removes fear from the equation. And without fear, action becomes easier and faster. The 10th difference is their environment. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, not people who comfort them. Comfort feels nice but kills ambition. Challenge feels uncomfortable but sharpens growth. Rich people curate their circle like they curate their investments. If a relationship doesn't elevate them, they limit its influence. The 11th difference is focus. Average people chase many things and master none. Rich thinkers go deep, not wide. They choose one path, refine it, compound it, and dominate it. Depth builds expertise. Expertise builds leverage. Leverage builds wealth. The 12th difference is consistency. They don't chase motivation. They rely on discipline. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is a system. Wealthy people automate habits. They build routines that remove emotional decisions, because a life driven by emotion leads to chaos. A life driven by systems leads to results. The 13th difference is accountability. Rich individuals take extreme ownership of their outcomes. They don't blame the economy. They don't blame their childhood. They don't blame circumstances. Responsibility gives them control. Control gives them freedom. The 14th difference is strategic patience. Rich people understand that real wealth is slow money. Slow money is boring. Slow money is stable. Slow money is powerful. They don't need constant excitement. They need consistent growth. They are willing to look wrong in the short term to be right in the long term. This patience is their superpower. The 15th difference is financial creativity. They don't ask, can I afford it? They ask, what would need to happen for me to afford it? They don't see limits. They see levers. They think in terms of possibilities, not restrictions. And that alone creates opportunities others never notice. The 16th difference is emotional separation from material things. They don't tie their identity to what they own. A car is transportation, not validation. A house is shelter, not a trophy. They buy quality, not applause. They buy assets, not attention. The 17th difference is resilience. When average people hit setbacks, they retreat. When wealthy people hit setbacks, they adapt. Every financial storm becomes training for the next level. They expect challenges, so challenges never break them. They refine them. The 18th difference is optimism grounded in realism. They believe the future can be better, but they also prepare for the worst. This balance protects them emotionally and financially. It helps them see danger early and opportunity sooner. The 19th difference is energy management. They protect their time, attention, and emotional bandwidth like assets. They don't waste hours on gossip, drama, or distractions. They guard their mind because that's where wealth begins. And the final difference is their identity. Rich people don't just make wealthy decisions. They see themselves as a wealthy person long before the money arrives. Identity shapes habits. Habits shape results. Before they had wealth, they behaved like someone who deserved it. And eventually, the world matched their self-image. This is the truth most people overlook. You don't become rich when you get money. You become rich when you become the type of person who manages money with purpose, clarity, discipline, and vision. Wealth is never accidental. It's intentional. Once you think like a rich person, you start acting like one. And once you act like one, money begins to follow you instead of running from you. This is the psychology that builds empires. This is the mindset that shapes destiny. Rich people don't just have different bank accounts. They have different brains. Their mindset is built on patterns of thinking that average people never develop because those patterns feel uncomfortable before they feel rewarding. Wealth is not a skill. It's a psychological operating system. The first difference is how they interpret money. Poor mindsets see money as something to spend. Middle-class mindsets see money as something to save. Rich mindsets see money as something to deploy. Every dollar has a job. Every dollar is a soldier that must bring back more soldiers. This is why wealthy people don't feel rich when they spend. They feel rich when their money works harder than they do. The second difference is time perspective. The poor mindset lives in the present. The rich mindset lives in the future. They understand delayed gratification not as sacrifice, but as strategy. They are willing to feel temporary discomfort for permanent advantage. Wealthy people think in decades. Everyone else thinks in weekends. The third difference is emotional independence. Rich individuals do not let emotions run their financial decisions. They don't panic when markets drop. They don't celebrate recklessly when markets rise. Emotion kills wealth faster than any recession. This is why the wealthy learn to remain calm in chaos. They know opportunity often hides inside discomfort. The fourth difference is the ability to make decisions quickly. Not impulsively, but decisively. Most people hesitate, overthink, and wait for perfect conditions. Rich thinkers look for good information, make a call, and adjust on the way. They know indecision is the most expensive currency in the world, because while you're thinking, someone else is acting. The fifth difference is how they use risk. Poor mindsets run from risk. Rich mindsets study risk, calculate it, and use it as leverage. They don't take blind risks, they take educated ones. They understand that without risk, there is no reward, only stagnation. And stagnation is just a slower form of failure. The sixth difference is the obsession with learning. Wealthy people learn continuously because they understand something simple. Your income rarely grows beyond your intelligence. Your intelligence rarely grows beyond your curiosity. They read, study patterns, watch trends, and analyze behaviors. Not because they want information, but because they want insight. The seventh difference is ownership. Average people work for money. Rich people let money work for them. They think in terms of assets, not income. Equity, cash flow, appreciation. These words are not concepts to them. They are tools. If money stops when they stop, they call it a temporary solution. If money continues without them, they call it a strategy. The eighth difference is how they handle problems. Average people see problems as stress. Rich people see problems as puzzles. They may want more money, but they don't see themselves as someone who deserves it. So they pull themselves back to the life that feels emotionally comfortable. The 11th trap is reactive thinking. People wait for emergencies before they act. Car breaks down, they panic. Bill arrives, they panic. Unexpected costs, they panic. Reactive thinkers stay in financial chaos because they never build systems. Wealthy people create systems, so they never need to react. They just adjust. The 12th trap is forgetting time. Time is the most valuable currency, but people trade it for short-term comfort. They waste years avoiding skills that could double their income. They waste decades ignoring investments that could change their life. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they underestimate the power of small, consistent actions over long periods. The 13th trap is the comfort addiction. Comfort whispers, you're doing enough, even when you're not. Comfort kills urgency. Comfort kills ambition. Comfort kills growth. People stay poor because they protect their comfort more than their future. Comfort feels safe, but so does quicksand. The 14th trap is learned helplessness. This is the belief that no matter what you do, nothing changes. People stuck here have tried and failed, tried and been disappointed. Now they've stopped trying. But success doesn't come to those who tried once. It comes to those who try again with better strategy. The 15th trap is the hero fantasy. People dream big, but refuse small daily action. They wait for a breakthrough, a miracle job, a miracle investment, a miracle year. They don't see that wealth is built through boring consistency. The fantasy of a big win keeps people from making small wins, and small wins are what build freedom. Here's the truth that breaks every trap. You are not born with financial patterns. You repeat them until you learn to replace them. Behavior doesn't change until identity changes. Identity doesn't change until awareness changes. Once you see your trap, you stop falling into it. And the moment you take control of the trap, you take control of your future. Money doesn't require perfection. It requires intention. And every trap you break becomes a door to a new financial life. Wealth begins where old habits end. Most people don't stay poor because of a lack of income. They stay poor because of the unconscious psychological traps running their financial life without permission. These traps operate silently, shaping decisions in real time. And the scariest part, they feel normal while they're silently destroying your future. The first trap is emotional spending. It's the belief that money can solve feelings. When people feel stressed, lonely, unappreciated, or bored, they buy something to escape themselves. The purchase isn't about the object, it's about the temporary relief, and relief becomes a cycle. The emotion hits, the spending starts, the guilt follows. People stay broke not because they don't earn, but because they reward their emotions instead of their goals. The second trap is lifestyle validation. This is where people use money to prove they're doing well. New phone, new shoes, new car, every purchase becomes a performance. The goal is no longer freedom. The goal becomes approval. But approval is a debt that never gets paid off, because every time you get it, you need more. People trapped here confuse looking rich with being rich. Looking rich is expensive. Being rich is quiet. The third trap is the instant gratification loop. This is the addiction to now. Why wait for compound interest when you can feel pleasure instantly? Why build a long-term plan when a short-term hit feels better? Delayed gratification is uncomfortable for the poor mindset. Not because they can't wait, but because no one taught them the value of waiting. Meanwhile, wealth is silently built in the waiting. Every dollar planted today multiplies in the future. The fourth trap is financial avoidance. People fear money, so they avoid it. They don't check bank statements. They don't track spending. They don't plan for the future. Avoidance creates a fantasy world where problems disappear if you don't look at them. But money reveals everything you avoid sooner or later. When you avoid money, you hand control of your life to chance. And chance isn't loyal. The fifth trap is the scarcity loop. This is the belief that money is always running away. People stuck here think money is rare, dangerous, unpredictable. So every financial choice becomes emotional and panicked. They save out of fear, not logic. They refuse opportunities because something might go wrong. They cling to every dollar so tightly that opportunities can't breathe near them. Scarcity creates paralysis, and paralysis kills momentum. The sixth trap is the someday delusion. This trap destroys more wealth than bad investments. People say someday I'll start saving. Someday I'll invest. Someday I'll fix my finances. But someday is a graveyard for dreams. People die with plans they never started. Wealth doesn't come from information. It comes from action before you feel ready. The seventh trap is social comparison. People measure financial progress by watching others. Someone posts a vacation, they spend. Someone posts a new car, they feel behind. Someone posts success, they panic. Comparison turns money into a competition instead of a strategy. And when you're competing with everyone, you lose to yourself. The eighth trap is overconfidence. This trap hits people who think they're smarter than the system. They chase quick schemes, fast money, shortcuts, and miracles. They gamble instead of build. Overconfidence makes people invest in things they don't understand, and the market punishes arrogance every time. The ninth trap is underconfidence. This is the belief that money is too complicated for me. People freeze in fear instead of learning small steps. They underestimate what consistent action can do. Underconfidence makes people hand their financial power to others, and when you outsource your money thinking, you outsource your future. The 10th trap is the identity ceiling. This is the hidden belief that people like me are not meant to be wealthy. It's the internal glass ceiling that stops people right before they grow. They sabotage success because success feels unfamiliar. Most people think they choose how they behave with money. But the truth is, your behavior is chosen by your financial identity long before you make a decision. A financial identity is the internal story you live by. It's the quiet narrative that whispers, this is who you are with money. And the moment you accept that story, you start acting according to it, even when it destroys your wealth. That's why people repeat the same mistakes for decades without understanding why. There are financial identity types that show up in every country, every age group, and every economic level. Some of them build wealth naturally, others fight it without realizing. The first identity is the survivor. This person grew up watching money disappear before it ever arrived. Survivors don't think long term. They think, how do I make it through today? They don't invest, not because they're lazy, but because survival mode kills future thinking. Every dollar feels like oxygen. If it leaves, they panic. This identity gets stuck in cycles of working endlessly but never moving ahead because survival steals strategy. The second identity is the escaper. They use money to numb emotions. Bad day, buy something. Feeling empty, buy something else. It's never about the object. It's about the momentary relief. Spending becomes therapy and money becomes the drug. The third identity is the oversaver. They aren't building wealth, they're hiding from fear. They hoard money but never enjoy it. They save aggressively but never take risks that grow their future. Their bank account rises, but their quality of life doesn't. They confuse safety with stagnation. The fourth identity is the prover. Everything they buy is meant to show something to someone. Cars, clothes, gadgets. It's not about the items, it's about the status hit. They burn money to build an image that collapses the moment you stop looking. They win the applause, but lose the freedom. And then there's the builder, the rare identity, the wealth identity. The builder sees money as a tool, not a trophy or a shield. They are patient when others rush, strategic when others panic. They invest small and consistently. They delay pleasure because they see the power of tomorrow. Builders ask better questions. Not, can I afford it? But does this move me forward? Not, how fast can I get rich? But how long can I stay wealthy? Not what feels good today, but what builds the life I want. A builder's psychology isn't emotional. It's intentional. They understand that money follows the person who can handle it. Your financial identity determines your destiny long before your salary does. If you don't upgrade the identity, you can increase your income and still stay broke. The good news? Financial identities are learned, not inherited. You can rewrite your identity piece by piece. The moment you change your story, your habits follow. Ask yourself, which identity do I live in today? Which identity do I want to live in tomorrow? Because wealth is not a number, it's a mindset you step into. And once you step into it, everything else aligns.